In the September 2022 developer update for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, the upcoming MMORPG by Visionary Realms, my second favorite class, the Enchanter, got some refinements to its class kit that bring this already impressive class design to another level. I made a video a little while ago talking about what we saw from the Enchanter the last time it was demonstrated by VR's production manager, Adam Taham Mustel, so maybe check that video out first for a little context. Let's get on with seeing how VR is enhancing the Enchanter. You know, crowd control classes in MMOs are like that lost cousin who the family hasn't seen in years and just everyone assumed they'd never see again. Then one day, you have a gathering and they just kind of show up and they charm everyone, pun intended, and they're welcome back with open arms. In Pantheon, the Enchanter is listed as a support role for groups, but how they provide that support largely comes in the form of crowd control. In this update, VR said the Enchanter hasn't undergone substantial changes. Their refinements were more focused on expanding their debuff and buffing abilities, improving the duration and the cooldowns on spell haste, bringing back their ability to manipulate a mob's hate list, and making mesmerization a little more finite. But in my opinion, VR underplayed the significance of these refinements because, as we'll see, the potential is extremely impactful. Let's start with Mesmerize. Basically, it's been rebalanced in two very particular ways. First, it takes longer to cast. If you watch past footage of the Enchanter, you can see that when Mesmerize has been cast, it was a fairly quick cast, often outpacing the casting time of enemy spells and abilities. What this meant was that you could use it in a reactive and defensive way to interrupt the mob, and that gave it some utility that I don't think was intended. But not only is the cast time longer now, the bigger change here is that VR added what they're calling a perpetuation cost, which they said means basically mana is expended over time per Mez target. So this puts the player in a place where decisions have to be made. Do I want to keep one target Mez'd for a really long time, or many targets for shorter times? I think the Enchanter is going to feel the weight of their efforts more acutely as they try to pace their mana loss with just how much time the tank, the healers, and the DPS classes need to take down the main target. And I think that's a consistent theme for this Enchanter update, the addition of tension. But how about this for tension? Let's talk about the new spell called Discordant Divination. When it comes to direct damage, the Enchanter is kind of like going to an ice cream shop and saying, "Surprise me." It could be great, but it could also be awful. Discordant Divination does direct damage of a random type to a target. So maybe that's fire, maybe it's ice, maybe it's divine damage, who knows? Why does this matter?
Are you guys taking damage from the...
How much damage did you take?
Healer.
He's buffed a bit.
Oh, we lost a healer.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna blame our wizard here. So, Ko, if you got that red one targeted, take a look at the buff on it on the lower end of its health bar.
Superheated. Empowered by incoming fire damage.
Whoops.
So this will be a very situational spell that's only reliably used when those traits aren't present on mobs. I think it's a great idea, and so does Ronak, as he commented here on PantheonPlus U.
I think it is Discordant Distance.
Discordant Divination.
Divination, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's a cool kind of like play on something I've never really seen that too much in game, where there's sort of like negative effects for using a powerful spell like that. Because I think the concept is, it's going to be a really powerful DD spell, but it's also going to have some possibilities of some kickback there.
Having consumed many Slurpees over the course of my lifetime, I'm very familiar with the concept of brain freeze. And so is the Enchanter, apparently. Brain freeze is a new debuff that randomly interrupts targets for a time. You know how dots and hots work? Well, Pantheon's Enchanter will be the master of IOTs or EOTs. It doesn't have the same ring to it, but it's a super cool idea if you ask me. The element of randomness might scare people, but if it's cost efficient enough, I think this gets a major place on the limited action bar of every Enchanter. Basically, just get that interrupt over time on the mob, and you don't have to keep an eye on it as closely. It's just good value even if it misses the occasional spell cast. Unless, of course, that's the one that kills you, then it's all your fault, you terrible, lazy Enchanter. But as it turns out, actually, Enchanters are both the interrupters and the interrupt preventers. A spell called Mental Fortification was shown. Now, they didn't say if this is new or not, but it doesn't appear on the current class page on the official website. This spell prevents an ally from being interrupted. The number of preventions comes from the Enchanter's augmentation skill. Every class is going to want this buff in tough battles, making it very valuable. Guaranteed heals, fortunate fireballs, and sure thing slows. Yes, please. Lastly, Vision of Restoration is a new line of skill-enhancing buffs that grants restoration skill to an ally. The amount is based on the Enchanter's augmentation skill. The healer's best friend is now the Enchanter, especially the Druid, I would guess, given they're the best direct healers in Pantheon. Cross-class synergy is such a welcome mechanic, and we keep seeing things like this in these class updates. Both the Rogue and the Cleric both got skills that synergize very well with other classes. If you're the type of player that plays as a duo perhaps, this rewards Enchanters for speccing into a healer battery type build. As if healers weren't already easily addicted to the Enchanter's mana restoration skill, now with the right augmentation based build, there's truly no hope for their recovery. What do you think of the Enchanter class as it's shaping up in Pantheon? Do you miss the Quaternity as much as I do? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more Pantheon class analysis by subscribing if you haven't already. But until next time, cheers and thanks for watching.